We are live! Alrighty, hello everybody, Avery Young here, and welcome back to this Storyteller's Corner, episode 12! So let's talk about bats. Much like snakes, the reputation of bats varies depending on who you ask, and of course depending on culture to culture. In some cases, bats are depicted as malevolent, wicked creatures who are said to be omens of death. Other times, the bat is described as a benevolent figure who brings luck and prosperity to somebody. And other times, the bat is often described as a mischievous trickster spirit, whose tricky nature is often the tragic cause of its own undoing. And I find that extremely fascinating. Now, if you live in any part of the world, save for the Antarctic and the Arctic, chances are you'll find bats, and chances are you'll find stories about bats. And what I find interesting is that neither story is alike. For example, you need origin stories of how bats came into existence or left up in the air. For example, in Polish folklore, it's believed that the bat was once a mouse that grew wings by eating a bit of Passover food. Whereas in India, the story is that bats were once birds that were just unhappy birds, and they wanted desperately to be human. So they prayed to become human, and they got their wish, just not in the way they were expecting. Instead, the birds grew hair, teeth, and they lost their feathers. But the birds got their wish, just not in the way they were expecting. Hi, Wolfer. Welcome. I think you're going to like this story. I hope you do, at least. But anyway, so Polish folktale, a bat was once a mouse that grew wings by eating Passover food. In India, the story is that bats were once birds, but they were unhappy as birds, and they wanted to become human. So they prayed to become human, and they got their wish, just not as they were expecting. They grew hair, teeth, and gained human faces, but the rest of their bird-like attributes remained. Ashamed to be seen in their new forms, they banished themselves to the dark of the caves, only coming out at night to try and find ways to become birds again. Let's file that under be careful what you wish for. Now, of course, there are two stories that are quite famous, at least bat-wise, and also their stories that are more well-known. These two, of course, being the Bat and the Weasels, and the Battle of the Birds and the Beasts, both of which were told by Aesop in Aesop's Fables. But they became cute! Well, not in their eyes. And I mean, again, if you look at a picture of a bat, they are cute in a weird way. But there are some bats that have faces that are, well, scary to some people, like the wrinkle-faced bat, whose face looks like a scrunched-up piece of paper. Which, fun fact, it's also believed that the reason why their face is all scrunched up like a piece of paper is how they're able to have a really strong bite, which I personally think is fascinating. But in the case of the two Aesop fable stories, you have the Bat and the Weasels, in which the bat uses its trickery to avoid being eaten. First by a weasel that hates mice, and then by a second weasel who hates birds. And then, of course, the Battle of the Birds and the Beasts is very infamous. Pug dogs have that too. Yes, they do. Then there's, of course, vampire bats, who gave us vampires, along with the help of Bram Stoker's Dracula. But that's a story for another day. But the Battle of the Birds and the Beasts is another fascinating story, in which you have the birds and the beasts that battle with each other. Sorry, I got a hair on my laptop. There you go. But in the second story, you have the birds and the beasts going at war with each other. And the bat is a turncoat and goes to both sides, depending on which side is the victor. And when the birds and the beast finally reach peace, they both ask the bat to sit with them. However, when they realize the bat's treachery, the bat's then banished to the darkness of the caves, forbidden from ever seeing the sun again. Now, personally, I like the take on this story. Sorry, crumbs. Anyway, as I was saying though, personally, I like an adaptation of this Aesop fable, which is portrayed, I think, very well in the animated Silverwing series, in which it explains that the birds and the beasts are battling with each other, but the bat, being both yet neither, refused to partake in the fight. And it's because they refused to partake in the fight that the owls banished them into the darkness. I don't know. To me, at least, I think that's a fascinating adaptation. But treachery merits no rewards. Exactly. And as I said before, earlier in this video, with the bat being portrayed in different ways, in Aztec mythology, bats were feared and considered omens of death, as their caves that they resided in were thought to be portals to the underworld. Now, in direct contrast with that, you have China. And in China, bats are considered to bring good luck and prosperity, which is why it is not uncommon to see bat-shaped tiles on the roof of a house in China, or, to see little buttons that are shaped like bats made of jade, because bats are thought to be good luck in China. Now, I mentioned the bat being a trickster before, and I mentioned the Aesop fable before, but the story I'm going to tell you is intriguing, and it's also intriguing in that it is a diamond in the rough. And I say this because this story seems to be so absolutely mind-bogglingly impossible to find. And no, I am not exaggerating. And I know some of you are thinking that. It's like, oh, Avery, you're exaggerating. You have a tendency to exaggerate. And I'm telling you, no, I'm not. Here's the thing. I discovered this story through an old Russian cartoon, which I provided the link to in the description below. I wasn't able to understand it, and the auto-translated subtitles were kind of wonky and off. But I was able to gather a bit of the story, translating in Texas, they eat a lot of bugs and nutrient-rich droppings which aid our agriculture. Exactly. Bats are good. But anyway, so I find out about this story through an old Russian cartoon that I find on YouTube. Translating the title, I find the name of it. Translating the description, I find that it is based off a Mongolian fairy tale. I scoured the internet for this story, but I could never find it. I either ended up at dead ends, or I got results that weren't the results that I wanted. And finding clues only opened up various wormholes. After doing a bit of research, I found out, this is actually either an Eastern Estonian fairy tale or a Russian fairy tale. I researched those areas. No luck. I even go to the IMDb page of the cartoon, which opens up a variety of other things, like the title variants, like is it a bird or is it a beast? Neither bird nor beast, etc., etc. Sorry. But I am looking for this story, and I'm finding nothing. I even found out through the IMDb page that apparently the cartoon got an English dub released in Canada. But there was no title for the English dub of the cartoon, and I tried looking at that angle. No dice. I could not find anything. I could not find this OG fairy tale no matter how hard I tried. And the thing is, And the thing is, I even mentioned this to a friend of mine, and they tried helping me find the story, and they also didn't find anything. Eventually, I was able to track down a translation. And then, of course, prior to that, I got in contact with a friend of mine who speaks a language, and she translated the dialogue of the story for me, giving me the meat and bones. And the other translation I found also had the synopsis dialogue and basically the sort of bare bones, which was all I could find. And I still can't find anything. Of course, I cannot find this story or the English dub cartoon to this day. And I'm being serious when I say that if anyone watching this or watching this in the future can find the original fairy tale. I think I've seen it. Is it that one where the bat says it's a beast and then a bird? Yep. That's the fairy tale, and it's also the plot of the cartoon. I still can't find the English version to this day or the original fairy tale. So if any of you can give me a link to both of them or just one or the other, I'll be grateful. I'll even draw a monster girl of your choice. But alas, wishing for something really, really hard does not make it come true, no matter what. So, what the story I'm going to be reading to you, it's on YouTube? Wait. You mean the English dub? The English dub of the cartoon, Wolfer? Like, were you able to find the English dub of the cartoon, Wolfer? Subtitles. Do the subtitles actually work, or are they auto-translate? Because auto-translate has a tendency to be very wonky and incorrect on their translations. But anyway, as I was saying, the story I'm going to be telling you is the translated dialogue that I was able to get my hands on, plus a little bit of my own writing to hopefully stitch together with the dialogue and get the whole story. So it's basically the story I'm telling you is kind of sort of a Franken adaptation, with the actual dialogue stitched together with bits of my own writing to try and give you the whole story as I can. And if someone watching this is able to find the original story and or the original cartoon, like, send them to me on YouTube via copy and paste in the comments below, and maybe I'll reread the actual story. As of now, this is all I got, and I think they translated it, and also a really trippy version in Lord of the Rings. Wolfer, send me both of those, please. Also, according to the live stream, I don't see the little green dots by the mic as I usually see. So you guys can hear me, right? Like, I want to make sure you guys can hear me and the music, so that way I'm able to tell the story. But can you guys hear me? Yes. All right, you can hear me. I'm just double checking. You can hear the music too? Can you hear both? Alright, and once this song ends, I will read the story. I do not have a physical copy on me, but I wrote it on my laptop, so. Okay. Yes, sort of techno. Okay, good. Alright, good. So you guys can hear me, and now I will get to the story. As I said before, I found out that it goes by various titles, neither bird nor beast. Is it a bird or is it a beast? And either bird nor beast. So for the sake of my sanity, I'm just going to be calling it either bird or beast. Now this story is an interesting one of the just so variety, which it explains why bats fly at night. And I think it's rather interesting. Alright. Just gotta go all the way to the top. And then I'm gonna try and. Okay, there we go. Now I can see the top chat while I do this. Okay. Either a bird or a beast. Ever wonder why a bat flies at night? I'll tell you. Once, a long time ago, the golden eagle, king of the birds, gathered up his subjects and said, "The snow has covered everything. We must bring the sky's blue color back." And he ordered all of his subjects to bring a single blue flower to align the bleak sky with them. At the order of their king, all the birds took to the sky to find a blue flower to place in the sky. But the bat did not go with them. Instead, remaining on the branch he had sit on before. Among the birds, a swallow struggled to keep up with their companions against the winter wind, and the bat joined them in the air. "Oh, why aren't you in a hurry?" the swallow asked the bat. "Where to?" the bat asked. "Don't you know? The king has ordered every bird to find a blue flower so the spring would come." The bat didn't join, only smiling in reply. "Ah, but that is for the birds. I am not one. I am a beast," he said before he landed on the ground. "See, I'm a beast." And he walked along his hands, his feet and wings before the swallow joined the other birds, leaving the bat to sit and admire the black sky. One by one, the birds returned, each bringing a blue flower with them, with each flower being placed in the sky, so the color returned to the heavens. The bat only watched on, trying to catch a flower as the birds placed them in the sky. He played with a blue flower he found, while the birds continued to fill the sky with azure flowers. Soon enough, every corner of the heavens was light with blue once more, and the birds flew in it, knowing that it was good. Meanwhile, the bat continued to play, only to leap into hiding when a great brown bear emerged from the underbrush. "Wake up, king of the beasts! It is time for you to celebrate spring," the golden eagle called from the sky. I love this story. I used to read this back in elementary school. Can you find the original story for me? I'd love to read the original story, but I can't find it. This is basically a Franken adaptation, so Andre, if you could send me this story, I would appreciate it. The Mongolian name for the golden eagle is Burkut. They are so large and powerful that they're used to hunt wolves. That is impressive. I did not know that. But yeah, Andre Gibson, you send me a link to the original story, I will give you any monster girl you want. Anyway, now the bear, king of the beasts, gathered up his subjects and said, "The soil has died from the frosts. We must return life to the earth." And he ordered every beast to find a spark of fire to melt the ice off the mountain tops. So it was done, and every beast rushed to find a spark of fire, from the mightiest horse to the smallest jerboa. The bat was playing with a blue flower when the jerboa ran into him, causing him to squeak in surprise. "Why are you all in a hurry?" the bat asked the jerboa. "Don't you know? The great king ordered every animal to gather sparks of fire to melt the ice off the mountain. "I will return," answered the jerboa. At her response, the bat only laughed. "It is for the beasts, and I am not one. I am a bird," he boasted, taking to the sky with a flutter and a laugh. "I'm a bird!" So the jerboa joined her companions, leaving the bat to his own devices. The bat flew high in the air without a care in the world. He delighted in his flight, that is, until he froze in mid-flap and beheld a magnificent sight. One by one, sparks of fire lit up in the distance, as each beast found a flame and brought it to the mountain tops. Soon, the flames joined together to make a single fire upon the mountains, and the melted ice trickled down the sides of the mountains, first in streams, then in waterfalls. The bat watched in awe, landing to catch his breath as the water washed over the dead earth, reviving it as flower and plant grew vibrant and new again. The beasts saw this, and they knew it was good. In celebration of spring's arrival, the birds and the beasts both held a great feast. There was music and joy abound, and the golden eagle led his subjects in the dance. With sparkling eyes, the bat watched in awe and admiration as the birds spun and pirouetted in the air, soaring through the azure sky. He wanted to join them, and so he flew up in the air to dance his own measure. As he did, the birds stopped their dancing, crowding around him in shock, confused as to why he was trying to dance with them. "What is the matter? Why do you all have fun without me?" the bat asked indignantly. The swallow approached the bat. "This is the feast for the birds, but you are a beast," they said, "so go to the beasts." "Fine, I will," the bat replied, offended. "They are eating more fun." On the land, the beasts had a feast of their own, all of them dancing and making merry. The squirrels danced in lace chain patters, the foxes danced with their swaying red tails, as did the antelope, and even the gray camel with two humps joined in the festivities. The bat landed among the flowers and danced his way towards the beasts, tapping his feet and flashing his wings. Yet, when he danced among the beasts, they all stopped dancing in mid-step, just as shocked to see him as the birds were. "Oh, so you're a beast now?" asked the jerboa, just as startled as her companions. Who else could I be?" asked the bat before he continued to dance. "But every beast brought a spark of fire to melt the ice on the mountain top. You belong to the birds, not us," the jerboa replied to the bat. "Go to the birds' feast." At her words, the bat became indignant once more. "Well, now, please! It's even better for me to be alone," he snapped before singing in a mocking way. "Tra ya 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 ya! I'll have even more fun on my own. Tra ya ya ya! I don't need anyone else. Tra ya ya ya! Tra ya ya ya!" the bat sang mockingly as he flew away. I think the original one is called The Birds, the Beasts, and the Bats, and the Aesop Fables. I might be wrong. Hopefully this helps. Andre, I'm sorry that doesn't. I got a copy of Aesop Fables right here, and I read that exact story, The Birds, the Beasts, and the Bat, and it follows the same story of the birds and the beasts having a battle, with the bat being a turncoat. So that doesn't help. Thank you for trying, though. The bat flew to a dark cave that always dripped with water, and he sighed sorrowfully. When the bat had left, the birds and the beasts continued to dance and celebrate, just as they had done before without him. Oh, okay, yeah, thank you for trying, Andre. It's one thing I really hate about this fairy tale. It's so hard to find, and this is the closest as I can get. He could hear the music from his cave, and in an attempt to be part of the merriment, he tried to dance by himself. But he couldn't look away from the festivals for long, and as he turned around, he saw the birds dance high in the sky, bursting in colorful patterns and pirouettes, while all he had was his reflection in the rippling pool of his dark cave. "Well, let them," thought the bat resentfully. "Fly in your blue sky. Jump with your flowers. There are many of you, and I am alone and unlike anyone." Since then, the bat has lived on his own, renouncing all animals while not belonging to the birds. He flies by himself within the twilight for thousands and thousands of years. And that is the end of the story, either bird or beast. And that is the closest I can find because the original fairy tale seems to be lost to history or wherever. Because again, I tried scouring the internet for this story with no luck whatsoever. And every time I thought I got close, it wasn't the story I was looking for. So this is the best I can do. I apologize in advance if you guys didn't like it, but I mean, again, This is the best I can do because I can't find the original story. I'm terribly sorry. Again, if any of you know the title of the original story and are able to find the story in the English of the cartoon, send them to me in the comments below, and I will be forever grateful to you. Since the story was really short, I could read to you the story of. I could read you the 2 Aesop fables that I mentioned, if you guys want me to. If I get three or 2 yeses, then I'll read the Aesop fables. But I don't know. I like the idea of the story, either bird or beast, where the bat sort of screws himself over by lying and also not partaking in the work. I find that very fascinating, and with the cartoon, like the Russian cartoon, even though I couldn't understand it, like everything about it, the animation and the music, it just sort of gnawed at my creativity. And the way the story just ends so bittersweetly with the bat saying that line, it's like, there are many of you, and I am alone and unlike anyone, and I hate my speakers. Because my speakers are off and weird. Anyway, I'm sorry, but yeah, the way the bat just says that translated line, because the cartoon I read had auto-translated subtitles, so kind of wonky, but I don't know, that line just struck me. It's very bittersweet. Like, again, there are many of you, and I am alone and unlike anyone. So, I was trying to find it. What, Wolfer, if you're able to find it, you'll have better luck than I do, because again, I tried finding it, no dice, could not find any part of it, because apparently me and my friend were just unable to. So let me just balance this, because it was starting to get a little warm underneath. You did a video about her. Yep, I did the ASMR video based off of that cartoon. But I got 1 yes, so if you guys want, I just need 1 more yes, and then I will read the Aesop fables. If you guys want to hear 2 more stories, because this one was very short. Normally, these live streams go on an hour. Okay, that's 2 yeses. So I will first go with the Bat and the Weasels, and I actually got the book, so it's just a matter of balancing this so that way it doesn't overheat, while also, of course, maintaining the ability to hold the book. Okay, here we go. I think we got it. But yeah, good luck trying to find it, Wolfer. And this is not going to work. Will this work? Aha! I am smarter than the average bear. Okay, there we go. Alright. Okay, thousands of books and one of the forgotten books. Bear with me. Aha, it's page 19. Page 19, where we get the bats and the weasel. I would try to bring her out into the world that the interspecies exchange bill created. Well, maybe. And interestingly enough, the translation that my one friend gave me who speaks the language said that the bat was a girl. But in the other translation, the bat was a boy. And I don't know, I went with the boy, though. Regardless of whether you change, if the bat's a boy or a girl, the outcome would still be the same. Alright, so here we go. The Bat and the Weasels. A bat, who fell upon the ground and was caught by a weasel, pleaded to be spared his life. The weasel refused, saying that he was by nature the enemy of all birds. The bat assured him that he was not a bird, but a mouse, and thus was set free. Shortly afterwards, the bat again fell to the ground and was caught by another weasel, whom he likewise entreated not to eat him. The weasel said that he had a special hostility to mice, and the bat assured him that he was not a mouse, but a bat, and thus, a second time, he escaped. And the moral, it is wise to turn circumstances to good account. A world where hatred, famine, and the sword crouch for employment. Nice. And then let's see. The birds, the beast, and the bat, page 256. But yeah, I just wish I knew the title of the original story that I read to you, either Bird or Beast. But I can't find it. Alrighty. The birds, the beasts, and the bat. The birds waged war with the beasts, and each were by turns the conquerors. A bat, fearing the uncertain issues of the fight, always fought on the side which he felt the strongest. When peace was proclaimed, his deceitful conduct was apparent to both combatants. Therefore, being condemned by each for his treachery, he was driven forth from the light of day, and henceforth concealed himself in the dark hiding places, flying always alone at night. And those are the two Aesop fables involving bats, as far as I know. Oh, this is weird. Normally the live streams are longer. So I could read some more bat folk tales. I mean, if you want, just a few bonus stories, since either a bird or beast is so short. At least my Franken adaptation of it is. So I mean, if you guys want. But yeah, it was the fact that I can't find this one story is just, it is frustrating, like to me at least, when you're curious about something and you aren't able to find the source of your curiosity or like find a way to pacify it. And interestingly enough, I do got another book of fables, and I think it might just be the Aesop fables under a different name. Yet it's interesting because some of the illustrations depict the characters as humans, which I personally think is kind of interesting, if you want to. Oh, we're at full charge. Let's just let it cool down a bit, but just give me a second. I'll show you what I mean. And again, I think they just might be Aesop fables under a different name. This book, ironically enough, I found at one of my go-to book places. Here we go. So it's no secret, at least I don't think it's a secret, that I like going to used bookstores to find books to fill my library. And one of the books I found, it's basically a bunch of folk tales. It's called Fables of La Fontaine. And this is what it looks like. And yes, it is a big book. I could probably concuss somebody with this if I wanted to. Nice sign. What sign do you mean? Oh, right, I tilted my laptop up, so you probably saw the Siren's Pearl poster. It was actually a decoration from my 21st birthday. My mom decorated it, so like for my 21st birthday, we had a 3-day celebration, and the first day, she turned the kitchen into a mermaid nightclub, which is fun. Anyway, but yeah, this one has a bunch of stories in it, and let's see, like one of them being, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it has the story of the grasshopper and the ant, yet the illustrations depict the characters as humans. So I find that very intriguing. Let's see, I always forget. Yeah, Fables of La Fontaine. If anyone knows the differences or such, like, let me know. Swan, the bat and the two weasels, page 47. Ooh, the cat and the old rat. Whoops! Ay, yikes! It wouldn't be one of my live streams if something wasn't going wrong. Okay. Aha, here we go. So at the top, and I don't know how well you see it, but once again, these characters are portrayed as humans, which is fascinating. So The Bat and the Two Weasels. A bat one day into a weasel's hole went boldly. Well, it was a special blunder. The weasel, hating mice with heart and soul, ran up to eat the stranger. Where's the wonder? How do you dare, he said, to meet me here, when you and I are foes, and always were? Ain't you a mouse? Lie not and cast off fear. You are, I'm no weasel, have a care. Now pardon me, replied the bat, but I'm really anything but that. What? I a mouse? The wicked tattlers lie. Thanks to the maker of all human things, I am a bird. Here are my wings, long flavors of the sky. These arguments seemed good, and so the weasel let the poor wretch go. Could they have been based on Aesop's fables? I don't know. I'll have to do research on this later on when I get the chance. But 2 days later, though it seemed absurd, the simpleton into another hole intruded. This second weasel hated every bird, and darted on the rash intruder. There you mistake, the bat exclaimed. Look at me. Ain't I rashly blamed? What makes a bird? Its feathers? Yes. I am a mouse. Long live the rats, and Jupiter take all the cats. So twice, by his supreme address, this bat was saved, thanks to finesse. Many there are who, changing uniform, have laughed at every danger and intrigue. The wise man cries to escape the shifting storm, Long live the king, or glory to the league. That's the story of the two bats and the weasels. And then, my cousin's friend used to have a weasel, but it ran away. Aw, I'm sorry about that. But then again, weasels are wild critters. Oh, wait a minute. Aha, here we go. Then as far as I know, this is the only other bat story in this book. Aesop's fables have been around since antiquity, so it wouldn't be surprising. You're right. It wouldn't. But this is the only other bat story that I have. And once again, we got illustrations depicted as humans, and then we got a little bat right there. So, yeah. A bat, a bush, and duck one day, finding home business would not pay, resolved their purses to unite, and risks of foreign trade invite. Soon with factors, counters, agent, and all the merchants' usual pageants, ledgers, daybooks, and all that, surrounded they grew rich and fat. All went on well, till lucklessly a cargo trusted to the sea, and traversing a rock-bound strait, ill-piloted, endured the fate of all the other treasures which King Neptune's sea-roofed vaults enrich. Great cries of grief the trio uttered, that is to say, they only muttered, for every little merchant knows that credit loves not traders' woes. But spite of every cautious plan, the tale through all the city ran, and now duck, bush, and bat were seen, ready to wear the bonnet green, without or credit to resources, for none would ope for them their purses. All sorts of creditors daily arrived, with bailiffs and writs, and the doors scarce survived their continual thrum of creditors glum. And of course, the bush, bat, and duck were intent to find means this important crowd to content. The bush with his thorns caught the men that, and said with a sort of pitiful cry, went by, Pray, sirs, can you tell in what part of this sea the wealth of myself and my partners may be? Whilst that diver, the duck, plunging down out of sight, went to find them, he said, if he possibly might. But the bat, followed daily by bailiffs and duns, at noon all the haunts of the human race shuns, and, stricken with shame, to keep quite out of sight, hides in ruins all day, and flies only by night. Many a debtor have I known, neither bush, nor bat, nor duck, who even had not such ill luck as was upon this trio thrown, but simple lords who, shunning snares, sneaked always down by the back stairs. That is the story of the bat, the bush, and the duck. And of course, there are various other bat folk tales out in the world, and you can find them online quite easy, as I only mentioned a few. But that is that. And again, if I had the original story, or I was able to get to the original cartoon, I'd watch them and I'd read the original story. So if anyone can find them, good luck to you. And if you find them, like, send them to me in the comments below, because I desperately want to read them. I want to see how the story actually goes. So let's play one last song. Then after a bit, I will end the live stream. Sorry it was short, but it's just kind of the way it is. The moral of the story seems to be that trying to avoid debts is apt to make one miserable. Yeah. That, and also, pay your debts so they don't haunt you. Oh, that seems like a good advice moral. I have no idea what my neighbors are doing if you heard that big boom sound. Exactly. So, yeah. Much like the snake, mythologically and folklore speaking, the bat is a very interesting character. Be they a wicked, malevolent figure, or a benevolent figure of luck and prosperity, or even a tragic trickster type character, bats are very interesting. And, of course, I could go on and on about bats. Like, I could tell you about how some of them are monogamous, while some of them are poly. They basically have more than one mate. It's interesting, because some bat species are monogamous, and when they mate for life, which I think is kind of romantic. But then you have other bat species who will mate with multiple females and be polygamous. They seem to be one of your favorite animals. I like all sorts of animals. Don't get me wrong. I like cats, I like bats, I like butterflies, I like moths, I like seals, I like fish. It just sort of depends. Because every animal has their own unique characteristics and traits. Even leopard seals are amazing. And the fact that they seem to sing to attract mates. And yeah, but as I was saying, with bats, some of them being monogamous and some of them being polygamous, it's interesting because the bats that are monogamous have smaller equipment, and they're said to have smaller brains. But the bats that do polygamy are more well endowed and have the bigger brain. I don't know. I got a guidebook that I could read through all day, but yeah. So I think that's about as much damage as I can do on this live stream. Again, thank you all for coming and tuning in and watching. Terribly sorry that I wasn't able to read the original story. Again, if you're able to find it and or the English dub of the original cartoon, send them to me in the comments below. I'll be eternally grateful, and I will draw you whatever kind of monster girl you want in return. And yeah. Oh, thanks for having us. No problem. Also, before I forget, just to be on the safe side, I have some more live streams on the way, and I plan on doing some more ASMRs. However, on the 9th to the 11th, so coming up really soon, I might be quiet. This is because I'm going to be on vacation pretty soon. I'm going to go down to the beach and spend 3 days on the coast, which is vital. I am a Pisces, so I'm in desperate need of some vitamin C. If you get that pun, you're smart. It's a joke, but yeah. I'm gonna be at the coast getting lots of vitamin C. Oh yeah, trust me. It'll be worth it. Worth all the shifts I've done at work. But yeah, I got more stuff on the way, but I'm just gonna be gone at the coast for a while. And we'll see what I find. Heck, I might even find some mer people. That'd be fun. But yeah, gonna go to the coast, gonna have a lot of fun with the family. And who knows? I might just get some more books with more fairy tales and more myths to read to you. And hey, who knows? Maybe I might be able to find a copy of the original story at a bookstore up in the coastal area I'm visiting. Who knows? I hope that's the case. I'd like that very much, but we'll see. Some handsome women. No. No, I would just befriend them. After all, I have a boyfriend. And I would not cheat on him for the world. I'd cut off my fingers before I cheated on him. That sounds fun. Hope you have a great time. Oh, trust me, Andre, I will. I haven't been to the coast all summer, so you know what? I'm gonna enjoy myself to the fullest. Frankly, though, I'm surprised. I told this to my folks and my coworkers. It's like, I'm kind of surprised that I haven't, from lack of vitamin C, just, exploded either at home or at work and left a bloody, visceral mess for people to clean up. Because, yeah, haven't had any vitamin C for a while, so I need to commune with my Pisces powers. I know, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, but that's it for the show. So yeah, thank you so much for coming, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed the story despite the fact that it wasn't the OG fairy tale. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the love and support you've given me. We're currently at 681 subs. After a bit though, like a few more days, I will post the winner of the poll results, because I posted a poll saying, hey, what should I do once we hit 700 subs? And yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm rambling. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!